Hi, welcome to your midweek minutes for Module 9. And this week we're talking about organizational structure and organizational culture. And I think these two topics go together well because they are part of the very lifeblood of an organization, part of the functioning of the organization, but we often take them for granted and we often don't question them. And the structure of an organization, I believe, often flows from the culture of an organization. There are assumptions that are made about how best to do business, and those are realized through how an organization is structured. So to understand the culture of an organization, one thing that you have to do is to look at the structure, and it tells you about the assumptions that are made about relationships between people, assumptions that are made about authority and autonomy. So it tells you a lot about the values of an organization. Now, we often see changes in organizational structure. I shouldn't say often, but we see changes made as there are changes in the business environment. And so that might involve downsizing, but it also might involve other types of restructuring, such as going from a less centralized structure to a more centralized structure, or vice versa, depending on what the marketplace or the environment is demanding. And I think sometimes we don't consider enough what is the culture of that organization, and will that structure work, and have we done what it takes to change the culture and to understand whether that structure will actually be effective. Now, both of these are I think very interesting concepts when we think about organizational behavior in a global context. So there we have another layer of culture. You have shared values in a nation or a geographic region. You have shared values within an organization, and those are both realized through the structure and relationships in the organization. And I think we need to think about, how well different types of structures work in different national cultures. Many of the innovations that we see, like virtual organizations, like boundaryless organizations, I think are focused on a Western culture. One that where there is a very little power distance. People don't accept big differences in authority in Western cultures. There's more of a focus on individualism, and so I think we have to question whether some of these structures will work in a multinational corporation. Now, I raised this in one of the small groups this week, and someone raised an interesting point, is that perhaps that these structures like virtual organizations or boundaryless organizations will allow people to interact from different cultures on a more even playing field. And that actually might be beneficial. We might see the beneficial aspects of diversity from different cultures arise from that. And I thought that was an interesting point. And I guess that's an open question. But I do think we should think about how well these structures will work in different national cultures. And I don't think they are necessarily going to work equally well. And I also think that many of these structures were designed with a Western culture in mind. Well, I've been meeting with your groups. I've met with 2 of them so far, and things have been looking good. As you're wrapping up the class next week, please contact me if you have any questions, and have a good weekend. Take care. Bye now.